Well, hello folks, and from the opening, I probably already know what you're thinking, and you're wondering, hey, Jeremiah, I thought this was a truck camping channel. Well, it is. It still is, but my wife and I made a purchase. We decided that she wanted to go camping with me more, and I don't really care for staying in tents. Got a couple of tents. They're nice and they're not bad, but I like a little infrastructure, even if it is just the back of the truck. And so decided, hey, let's go look at travel trailers. So I had been poking around the internet and looking at them for some time. So I had kind of already had something in mind of exactly what I wanted to get, and you're looking at it. This is a GeoPro, and I just put the awning out. But a GeoPro BHS, which stands for bunkhouse with a slide 19. So 19 foot, 20 really, and slide. It's got two bunks in the back on the side, which right now are just storage, but it's nice. The one it has a pass-through door straight into the bunk on the one side, and what's nice about that is you can fold up the bottom bunk, and it's big enough to store bicycles, big items if you want to put a grill, something bigger back there. So that's really nice. Has plenty of storage. I'll give you more of a tour here after a bit, but yeah, we didn't buy it new. I don't do new. We went and looked at the lot, and we looked at the new ones first, and the sales guy, we weren't really seeing ones that we really liked that much. They weren't really checking all the boxes that we wanted. And the guy said, well, we've also got this one. It's a 2024 model, and he said, and it's marked down. I said, oh, that sounds right up my alley. And he goes, it's a bunkhouse though, and we weren't looking at bunkhouses, but he said, this one's really nice, taken care of. It don't even look like it was even used. So wife and I decided, yeah, let's go give it a look. So we did, and wound up getting it. So that's how it goes. But yeah, did a little research on the history of the previous, or the history of the trailer, like the previous owner and stuff, and I'm pretty sure it belonged to a traveling nurse, so that makes sense. And so it was probably on the road a good bit, but honestly, you'd never know. I don't even know if it was really used, because the thing was in fantastic condition. It was clean, no problems with it whatsoever. So very nice. So this will be my my summer rig for the most part. Man, the bugs, they are out. But this is going to be the summer rig, mostly because I don't do well in the super hot weather when I can't sleep when it's so hot. And I've worked on things for the truck to try and make it cooler in there, and man, it does not. Nothing I've tried has really worked that well, especially if I'm boondocking where I don't have an electric hookup. But with the camper, obviously, a lot bigger, a lot more space, room for my wife to come with me, and it's got an air conditioner and a lot of creature comforts and a bathroom with a shower. So yeah, so we can take it out multiple days, and we're planning on doing that, and I'll share some of those adventures with you all as well. This isn't the maiden voyage. We've actually had this thing for about a month, and I had been debating going ahead and doing a video, but I wanted to try it out first, and I didn't want to worry about filming on the very first trip. I wanted to not look like an idiot with the thing, even though I feel like I still do. You feel like when you pull into the campground and, you know, you're getting judged for never having owned, you know, something like this before. I had a pop-up camper years ago, but it wasn't fancy. So anyway, funny stuff. Fire going, as you saw. Just decided to use a torch, make things easy. We went camping a couple weeks ago, and the firewood we got from the campground was wet, and I, for the life of me, could not get it to light. And guy at the campsite next to us brought over some kerosene and a torch, and we lit it, and it was very, very nice of him. So I very much appreciated that. And then he said, yeah, just get a little torch. And I thought, you know, it fits those little propane bottles that I've got, the 1 pound bottles for my Coleman stove. Why not? $20 later on Amazon. Didn't bring the kerosene with me, but it's not really needed. Not yet anyway. That may be a future addition if I deal with much more wet firewood. But anyway, I'll check back in with you here in a little bit, folks. Well, folks, welcome back. I'm in the camper, hanging out. It got dark, and sat by the fire for a while, let the fire burn down. Originally, I was planning on cooking over the fire, but I figured out the spot I got, the fire ring, does not have a grill grate, and I have one of those grill grates that you can put over an entire fire ring sitting in my garage. So probably ought to make that part of the permanent kit. Never even dawned on me that a state park campground would not have grills on every fire ring. Speaking of which, I never told you where I am. That's a failure on my part. I am just outside of Zanesville, Ohio, over in central eastern Ohio, at Dillon State Park, the Dillon Reservoir. Very nice state park. It's got a beach, got a big dam, and a pretty impressive spillway. We'll take a look at that in the morning, because with all the rain that we've gotten lately here in Ohio, and we have gotten a lot of flooding here over the last week. I'm sure they're releasing water from the reservoir, so that spillway will probably be a raging rapid. I have seen it before when they've got it opened up, and it's pretty impressive. So we'll run by there in the morning, take a look at that, show you around, show you the dam, and we'll also take a look around the beach and the facilities. Like I said, this is a very nice state park if you've never been. If you're in the area or you're traveling to this part of Ohio and you're looking for a place to go or a place to camp, I would highly recommend it. All right, folks, well, I'm back, and so I had a dinner planned I was going to make, and as it has gotten later and later and later, and as you can see, it is already 10:30, and I couldn't decide what I was going to do, So I called an audible and I got a pizza. Drove back into town, which, if you've ever been in this area, Dillon State Park is only probably about 12 or so minutes away from Zanesville, north end of Zanesville. And I lived in Zanesville for a time, and I know the ins and outs of Zanesville, worked in Zanesville for several years. So I decided to get one of my favorite pizzas in Zanesville, which, okay, yeah, it's a chain, but it's an Ohio chain. And I got Donato's. If you know, you know. Donato's pizza is the best as far as chains go. I normally would get mom and pop. I waited too late. A lot of them close earlier, and also the one that I would have chosen, a place called Tats, is all the way over in South Zanesville, which would have taken me way longer to get. So Donato's it is. I also prepared, and I brought myself a Hank's root beer. So if you ever had, this is their the Hank's Gourmet root beer. If you've never had it, I would suggest trying it because it is fantastic. I am a connoisseur of root beer, and I think this is a twist off. Yes, it's a twist off cap. So if you've never tried it, do so if you're a fan of root beer like I am. I'm gonna enjoy watching a little bit more truck camping videos. I know, ironically, normally I'm truck camping, but now that I have the camper, and I'm watching truck camping videos while camping in the camper, it's best not to ask too many questions. But I'm gonna enjoy my root beer, enjoy my pizza, and I'll get back with you folks in a little bit.
Y'all gotta not do that. Get out of here. Get. You can't be fighting behind me. I'm watching a movie about crackoons.
Well, good morning, folks. So, I am going to, this morning, make some breakfast. And no, I have not decided just to have frozen or cold pizza. I thought about it. Believe me, I've considered it. But no, we are not doing that. What I'm going to do is, actually, my original plan was to make biscuit and sausage gravy, which is by far my favorite all-time breakfast. But these things stuck together. Nah. We'll just have one enormo biscuit. We can break another one off. I'll get those separated at home. So the original plan was to do biscuits and gravy, which is by far my favorite thing in the world. But I do not have flour. I packed a little baggie of flour a couple of weeks ago when the wife and I took the camper out for the first time. And it must have went back in the house, and I thought it was in here. All right, so update. I talked to my wife on the phone, which is a good thing I did, which I always enjoy talking to my wife on the phone. and told her my dilemma that I cannot locate the flour. And she told me, I think there was still some stuff in the truck. And I remembered, that's right, she got stuff to make s'mores, and it was in a Dollar General bag or something like that. And I remembered seeing it when I loaded up the truck to come here. And I thought, the off chance, is there any way that the little baggie of flour that I took with us then got thrown in that bag instead of like in the cooler or another bag or something that got taken in the house? I lucked out. No, it's not cocaine or any other type of illicit substance. No, this is good old AP, all-purpose flour. So I am stoked because I wanted biscuits and gravy. Did not want to make. My thing I was going to do was actually just making sausage biscuits, which is good, don't get me wrong, but not what I wanted. So anyway, let's get my burner on here. And these things light so nicely. And just so you know, this is also the first time I've used the oven. So when I make my biscuits and gravy, I prefer the gravy to have a heavy dose of sausage. I'm not like a fan of the what they call it, the like sawmill gravy or whatever, where there's no sausage. I also am not a fan of when there is not much sausage. I prefer an ample amount of sausage, so I will use half of this sausage roll. If I was making it for the wife and I, if she was here, I would make the entire sausage roll because that's what I do. And I considered just making all of it and then taking some of it home. But I do have some little Tupperwares in here, little cheapo. There's little like one-time use throwaways that you get at like the dollar store or whatever. The only thing is, they're not very big, and I don't know that I would have enough space for all the sausage gravy. So, because that does make up a lot. A full roll is probably enough for 4 or 5 servings. My servings, anyway. And I don't want to have, 3 containers of leftover sausage gravy. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are worse problems to have, but that's not the problem I'm looking to solve today. So we'll let this kind of work. Give it a minute. Sausage always sticks to the spatula. It never fails. Get it to cook a little bit, and then it'll come off. There we go. Or I could do it that way. So let that work for a minute. And you know what that is? Let me try to do. So you can see the sausage at work. What I like to do, and this is the way I was taught, by the long line of folks in my family. My dad, one of his favorite breakfasts was sausage gravy and biscuits. So my grandmother made it, my great-grandmother made it, and pretty sure this is how they did theirs. So I don't have the actual recipe, and I'm sure it would be considered sacrilege if they were around to see me using frozen biscuits. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on those Pillsbury frozen biscuits. But anyway, I like to brown my sausage, and then we'll call that the equivalent of two heaping spoonfuls. Once you get all that grease out of the sausage, that is when you introduce your flour. And I usually, for this amount, about 2 big spoonfuls, and then mix it around to where the sausage is completely coated in the flour. You want it to soak in though. You don't want so much flour that your sausage is white. You want it to be like, let me turn my fire down a little. You want it to coat it good. So if you notice, it's soaked up pretty much all the grease from the sausage. That is exactly what you want. So like this consistency right there, that is about what you want it to look like. And then I know a lot of people say stir in your milk. I don't stir in my milk. I just add it in. Let it sit for a minute. There's going to be a lot of gravy. There's worse problems to have. And then just stir it. Stir it, stir it. It'll thicken. If you added too much milk or not enough flour, you can always add in a little more flour. Now that you do have to stir in, or it will clump and make a mess. But the whole thing with this is a little more fire. Basically, keep it stirring until it begins to simmer, kind of boil a little bit. You start getting some bubbles. You know what I'm saying. You don't want a rolling boil. That would be no bueno. But just keep it moving. And when you notice some bubbles, I'm going to take a second and check my biscuits. Oh, they're about done. In fact, I'm going to kill the oven and just let them sit in there and finish as the oven cools. It's a good thing I checked those when I did. So, if you never had biscuits and gravy like this, or were never really sure how to make biscuits and gravy, let this be your fat kid masterclass. Like I said, I like to just keep it moving. You'll get like a skin around the edge of the pan. I always like to get that out and stir it back then. Okay, now we're boiling. So turn it down as low as it will go as it simmers a little. We'll let it simmer for a minute or two, and then I will kill the fire and let it thicken. So, a little salt, not too much. Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. already smells really good. And the most important ingredient, pepper. Now to me, sausage gravy can never have enough pepper. In fact, I'll cook with a lot of it, add it in, and then usually when I get my serving, I'll throw a little more on top. I like a good peppery sausage gravy. There's just something about having that like kind of pepperiness and creaminess from the gravy kind of works together. At least in my estimation. What do I know? But I will admit, never trust a skinny chef, so you can trust me. All right, we will go ahead and kill the heat. And this is gonna thicken and be amazing. See that consistency right there? About what you want. And as it cools a little bit, it will thicken and be perfect. So, move this back here. And let's get the biscuits out of the oven. And I don't have a pot holder. But I do have, say the bunks have gotten used for storage, which if you don't have kids, why not? Nobody camping with you. I mean, those bunks aren't big enough for an adult. But they're good for a kid. Oh, look. Perfect. Perfection. Perfection. And of course, didn't stick at all. All right, about to eat this, and boy, does that not look good. I am a fan, huge fan, and so glad that I called my wife. Because had I not, I wouldn't have had the epiphany of, hey, I did see that bag of stuff in the truck. That just goes to show you, it's proof that the old adage of when a man can't find something and ask the wife, and the wife knows exactly where stuff is. And you know how they always say, oh, the man, you know, man always can't find anything, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's the joke. There is truth to it. I will admit that. And my wife will, of course, go along with that because she knows. Because I'll ask her, honey, do you know where my blah, blah, blah is? Or do you know what I did with this? Like, yeah, it's right over there where it's been for like 2 months. Oh, well, I'm dumb, so. It happens. And don't even act like that don't happen to you. All the guys who are watching, your significant other, especially if you've been married for a while or whatever, together for a while. Yeah, they got your number. They know you. My wife knows me. I can't even pretend. So, a little hot, but looks good. I'm telling you, canned biscuits are a crime against nature. But these things actually kind of bake up just like homemade. Not exactly, but for my buck, close enough. Especially for like making them camping. Now, one of these days, I will bring this stuff and I will make fresh biscuits. And we'll have real deal biscuit and gravy. I'll see if I can cook it over the campfire too. that would be kind of awesome and probably taste even better. But for now, this is perfect. So, pro tip, try those Pillsbury frozen biscuits. I think every retailer just about sells them. So, yeah, they're well worth it. Well, I'm going to finish up my breakfast, and I'll be back with you folks here in just a little bit. So this is Dillon Dam, and you can see they are releasing water from the reservoir. The spillway has become a raging rapid. I'll show you some more footage of that, but it is quite kind of crazy. I've been here before when they've released water, but this is a significant amount. Normally you see a lot of people fishing here, but that's not good fishing. I don't think you can catch anything in that torrent. Kind of crazy. I was getting kind of soaked walking up, and I had to go off the path that followed right along because it was just a bit. The backup sensor's throwing a fit because it senses the hitch for the camper. It's one of those weight distribution deals, and because it's so big, it trips the backup sensors. But kind of funny. But yeah, the water at the reservoir was still a bit high. We've gotten a bunch of rain, and by a bunch I mean a bunch. Normally that down through there, which you can see all that and all this backwater, is not nearly this high, which you can tell by those trees being, those would not be growing in water. Yeah, this is what feeds the Dillon Lake reservoir is the Licking River, which, if you've been around or you know this part of the state, Licking River is not a very big river at all. It's a very small river, basically a glorified creek. In some spots, it can be pretty low, and yeah, it's not low right now. Not by any stretch of the imagination. We'll take a stroll down through here, and I know there are some folks fishing down in the lower part over here. There's some areas that they've made for, fishing right along the river down here, and it's a pretty area. If you're an angler, if you enjoy fishing, this is a place to come. When I was a kid, my dad had a bass boat, a sea nymph. It was just a little aluminum hull, flat bottom bass boat. I think it was 18 feet, not very big at all. Had a 50 horse Mariner, or Mercury motor, Mercruiser, and a little, I think we had a 7 horse Johnson for no wake zones. That was my grandfather's. That little motor had to have been, I think the thing was, goodness, when I was a kid, I thought the thing was 100 years old then, but it was not new. But it was perfect for what we used it for, and then the trolling motor, of course, and all that. But as you can see, a little parking area, plenty of walking trails and stuff. A lot of folks out here, walking their dogs, and saw some folks jogging earlier. Here's some folks fishing in the backwater off of the river, which is very nice. Perfect fishing down here. Fun fact, A lot of kids fishing. That's great to see. Good to see. But when I was a kid, I think I call myself a kid. I was maybe 13, 14 years old. This is the first place I ever got to drive the boat. Dillon Reservoir. It's a decent sized reservoir. And there were not many people out that day, and Dad and I had been fishing for mostly bass, crappie, catching a lot of bluegill, catching a lot of what we didn't want. But yeah, bass and crappie was what we were mainly fishing for. And since it wasn't busy and it was a nice day, the water was pretty calm. I got to drive the boat, so that was a very, very cool experience as a young man. I thought it was cool, but yeah, pretty neat experience. Where I'm at right now from where the campground is probably about 6 miles. It's not real far, just a quick little 10-minute drive. It does not take long to get here, and yeah, very pretty area. I'll take you around. Heading back to the campground is the pull-off where you can go to the big recreational area. There's a beach, there's basketball and tennis courts and stuff like that, shelter houses, big playground if you bring children with you. Really, really nice big playground. But I will take you there next and give you a look around. It's a very pretty area and well worth the visit. When I was leaving the campground, I'm kind of a nerd like this, but I was noticing license plates. I really enjoy, just seeing where people are from and stuff. And I saw the spattering of Ohio plates, which you would expect, but quite a few out-of-state plates. Saw West Virginia, Illinois. I saw in Iowa, which I was not expecting that. But yeah, several out-of-state plates and things. So pretty cool. I think they figured out this is a pretty nice place to come. Like I said, especially if you are an angler, you enjoy fishing. I do not like these speed bumps they have, but you'll have that. Neither here nor there. We'll go ahead. I'm going to take a right here and let's drive across the dam. One very cool thing about this dam is it's one you can drive across if you want. And I think they have tours you can take and things of that matter, but I think that has to be scheduled ahead of time. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they offer tours. It may just be for groups, but so we head across the bridge that we just went under, and folks out here taking in the view, which, as you can tell, is very beautiful up here. You can see all the debris in the water that's gathered up around where it goes through the dam for the end of the spillway. And there's a lot of driftwood that is gathered around that area for obvious reasons, and clearly because the water is being released. But pretty neat. Looks like the water would have to get a lot higher to breach this dam. But it is up quite a bit. This is one of the higher levels that I've ever seen it, and I've been here a bunch of times. And you can see a little bit of the operations there. Don't mind the backup sensor, but you can see a little bit of the reservoir. And the dam. And we'll head back around. We're going to turn off. I'd go straight to go to the campground, but we're going to go. I'll show you the beach and where some of the trails and other amenities are. It's a really nice facility out here. And I don't know how nice it will look now because it looks like they're doing work. Oh, race. Oh, apparently there's a race going on, and that is interesting. I was not aware this was going on this weekend. Yeah, cross-country race. And look at all these tents, and look at all this stuff that I was not expecting. Wow, I hit this right. Don't they say, what is it? Even the blind squirrel catches a nut from time to time? Well, this is that blind squirrel. That's me. But, yeah. Huh. Who would have thought? There is, man, all sorts of stuff going on. You can see one of the racers up there. Huh. Well, that could be why the campground was busy, because the campground was very busy. And the trails around here are absolutely fantastic. They keep them up very, very well. Keep them mowed, and it's very scenic, very pretty through here, as you can kind of tell. And we will take our time and go slow, as there are a lot of people around here, but I was not expecting any of this. So I am just probably gonna loop back out of here because I don't have any clue what's going on. This is, you know, for somebody who does this stuff and likes to get out and go, you'd think I would have seen something about this going on, but nope, I'm a knucklehead. So yeah, we're I don't want to feel like I am encroaching on these people as they are enjoying their event. So I am going to cut down one of these parking lots. There's the tennis courts and a shelter house, and yeah, we're going to cut down through here. Not expecting all this going on. This is a great place for it, though. Really nice place to have something like this. But yeah, up here and to the left are the basketball courts, which I think are being used for facilities of some sort. So, well, I am very glad I came down here, because I would not have known any of this was going on. But I kind of wished it wasn't, so I could show you all the beach and some of the facilities and stuff. But I will come back, and I will do my due diligence when I come back to come back when there's not a big event going on like there is right now. As we were pulling around the corner, there's all the tent campsites are back there, and this people here to the left are camp hosts. And then, hey, there's my little camper, the Geo Pro. Looks like the neighbors are all up and out, and seem like some nice folks. Get backed in here and ready to take off here in the next hour or so. Yeah.